Andrew.
I must have something on, yeah.
Some replay or other. I don't know what's happening here.
I got it. It was YouTube. Okay, folks.
All is well.
We got a secondary loop playing. There we go. We're all good. Thank you very much. Sorry about that, folks. So let's start again. So hello, good morning. We've sorted out a technical problem this morning, and morning, Mateus. I hope there's going to be more people online. So, and you're not live events. There we go. Yeah, we're being forgiven, thankfully. So yeah, there we go. So I'm just hooking up to the live event now. That's great. Yeah, we're on. Lovely. Tap to join. Super duper. There we go. Well, good morning, everybody. And yeah, hurrah and huzzah. We are live. You can tell we're live because we had a technical problem this morning. 136 show, folks. So with Sarah, Ian, me, and along with all you lovely people interacting with us, that's today's team, folks. Wow. That's, I think we need some fireworks for that, and we need some love hearts as well. So there we go. So that's today's team, and welcome to our live stream event. And we're spreading the love, yappa dabba do. So now that we've all calmed down, let's just introduce Ian to, where are we? Here we go. So a warm welcome to you, Ian Taylor. How you doing, mate? You all right?
Very good.
Very good.
To go.
Yes. Sorry to scare you with that live stream issue that we had this morning. So there we go. We've got Ian Taylor this morning, and just a very quick one for you. If you're, if you're kind of wanting to support this free show that we do, folks, you can use the little app called buymeacoffee.com to support this show, and all proceeds go back to the show. So you can easily buy me a coffee by following the link on the screen, and there'll be a link in the feed as well. So yeah, buy me a coffee. There it is, and yeah, all proceeds go back to the show. But it's just a way that you can give out back to the show, and it looks a bit like this if I can get the test to work. And you get your name in lights there as we're going along. So there we go. So, and yeah, Ian, so CTO of TECHGIANT. Give us a little bit of your backstory, Ian, and briefly, where are we heading today, Ian?
Indeed. So I'm a family man, 5 children.
5 children, my gosh.
Yeah, indeed. Going to be a grandfather, actually, in September.
Oh, congratulations. Yeah, we're already grandparents. We're slightly ahead of you. But 5 children, that means there's no TV and radio in your place then, is there, eh?
Indeed, yeah, indeed. I've been in the comms industry for sort of 34 years now, I think, 34th year.
Yeah.
Belies my age a little bit. Latterly, the last sort of 10 years or so in management and leadership.
Yeah.
There is a divide between those two areas that we'll probably come to a bit later on, I guess. But
oh, good.
Yes. And the company's 20 months old. We set up the business without sounding disingenuous, we set up the business to derive additional value in the marketplace for organisations.
Wow.
We've seen a real opportunity to do that in the 20 months we've been running the business.
So you've got a brand new business, 20 months old. It's still gaining its feet, and you're in the IT industry, and we'll sort of pick about what you do and how it all works later. But you're applying your strengths and your previous senior management experience into a new business. And you've, and it's growing, and you've got, it's a family business. I think you've got several people involved in it as well.
Very much a family business, yes. Yeah, my son was in the business. My wife's the operations director, Andrew.
I know the feeling, yeah. My boss is my wife too, so I get it completely in.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Okay. Talking about bosses, let's just bring Sarah in, Mrs. Moderator. Good morning, Sarah. How you doing?
Good morning. I'm better after that adrenaline rush.
Yeah, that was a bit. Yeah, it was YouTube apparently that was interfering. I don't know where YouTube was coming from, but there we go. Another learning.
Always something. So I think we need a bit of a wake up call for everybody in the chat. Come on, talk to us, please. Are we going to let's get the audience question going, Andrew, so that we can get some interaction in the chat.
That's fine. Ian, over to you. Have you got the interactive question for the audience, or do you want me to say it for you, Ian?
Can you say it for me? Sorry.
No problem. That's okay. Yeah, it usually throws people when I ask them that question. So yeah, we do it. We like to do that. So, how can companies balance profit motives? No, that's not the one. Where is it?
That's the wrong one.
That's the wrong one. Let me just get the right one up. How
It's going to be a great show today,
Here
isn't
we
it?
go. How can companies balance profit motives with maintaining strong, trustworthy partnerships? Is that the one? No. Oh, no.
No,
Oh, God.
I'll
Sarah,
say
you
it.
say it.
What's
Yeah.
what's the biggest challenge your
Oh,
business
there it is.
faces when trying to balance profits, avoid complacency, and keep customers happy?
There we
So
go. Yeah.
please
Ooh.
talk to us in the chat, and the
Please
Mm.
talk
questions
to
are
us.
going in the chat now for you.
Lovely.
Mm.
Thanks. So, what's the biggest challenge, folks, that your business faces when trying to balance profits, avoid complacency, and keep customers happy? And clearly, I've got the wrong version of that. There we go. Live, live,
That's
live,
why you've
baby.
got me.
That's where we got you. Yeah. So yes, please interact with us so we know that you are listening and yeah, this is an interactive show. So that's part of the whole feature of Leaders Live that you can join in and interact with us. Oh, and someone's brought me a coffee. Thank you very much, Mark. This has brought me a coffee.
Great start.
That's one of my.
He obviously thinks you need a bit of a boost after that this morning.
After this morning's difficulty going live. Yeah, that's right. Thanks, Mark. Brilliant. So that's how the buymeacoffee.com works. So there we go. Thanks, Mark. Good mate of mine. So let's start with, let's talk about supplier relationships. So we're going to talk about supplier relationships. We're going to talk about customer frustrations. We're going to talk about, what else we're going to talk about? We're looking at complacency, and we're looking at adapting to change as well. All of these things are important leadership lessons. And so, starting with sort of supplier relationships and transparency, and I'm guessing that many businesses today, with their supplier relationships, are kind of make or break, can make or break a business. So, what are the kind of key strategies that you recommend for ensuring sort of transparency and trust between suppliers, vendors, and customers? Ian, take it away for us.
I, I think the kind of position that we're in is as an effectively a middleman, a consultancy, an advisory sort of agency. We have suppliers on one side and we
Yeah.
have customers on the other side. And I think for us, listening is a key thing. Listening to both sides of the marketplace is an essential aspect of what we do, the value we provide. In terms of the noise and the communication and the misinformation, I have to say at times, and the hype and sales hype from the suppliers, the commitment to roadmap and future R&D, the hype and the trends within the IT industry are pretty well known, and balancing that with, on the other side, with customers, I guess, and their the demands on their operating business models, and the sort of things that they need to get them ahead, to stay competitive, to remain resilient, and all that kind of good stuff, and sustainable as an organization in these very, very demanding times is paramount for us. So balancing the relationships and, I guess, the noise from the supply side with the customer side of things is really, really key, and deep sustainable research is essential for us, and expertise as an organization too, really, in terms of taking the right advice to the right customers at the right times is essential for us. I know this isn't a selling call at all, so I'm not going to go into any detail on this, but
Mm.
we do represent global marketplaces in terms of the technologies that customers are looking for. We provide honest, transparent advice, and that advice can only be given in such a way if we are experts in the marketplace and we're getting the right advice and the right communications from the suppliers. But I guess
Okay.
equally, it's understanding the customer's frame of mind, legacy investments, and the demands, as I say, in the OpCo model, and other things there as well. So yeah, it's a balancing act between the two, but the key fundamental thing is listening.
Listening. Okay. And you talked about transparency, and I know your business is acting as a middleman. So just trying to bridge some of the stuff that you're talking about there. You act as a middleman between suppliers and then end users, and you're filtering out a lot of hype and noise. And just for us as leaders, what kind of examples of things that you're finding that people are overselling themselves, or the lack of transparency you talk about, or the hype? Give us some examples of things like that, simple examples that we can all link onto.
I think there's a lot of the older way the IT industry used to operate was
Mm.
large direct sales teams. Um, going into opportunities, certainly in the service provider community. And what I mean by that is those organizations, those large global regional organizations that provide services over the top of other vendors' solutions and products and things. And a lot of the I guess the advisory aspect of what we do is around the reality of choice in the marketplace.
Okay.
Ideally, highest value, lowest risk. There's a lot of would-be suitors for organizations today in all areas of technology. And I think if you go and talk to maybe one of the main service providers, they'll only give you a version of the truth based on what's productized and industrialized for them. And one of the big things that, as I say, we offer to the marketplace is around whole of market review. With evidence-based reports and all that kind of wonderful, great stuff as well, and punching well above our weight, to be honest. I mean, the kind of companies that's in the market are people like Gartner, Forrester, Frost and Sullivan, Hackett Group, multi-million pound organisations.
Okay.
Bringing that into some, sorry, Andrew, bringing that into some form of truth is essential for customers.
Yeah, I'm with you. So what you do is you provide a service that helps to filter out some of that noise from all the vendors and suppliers out there. And you try to work out, okay, what's really going on here, create a level playing field for customers, because that must be quite difficult, isn't it? If someone's looking for an IT solution, say, for example, and they go directly to the supplier, they're getting they're getting their version of the world, and our product is the best thing since sliced bread, etc., etc. And then you've got to cut through all that noise. And I think what you're saying is that your company steps in there. Is that correct? And then sort of works out who the suppliers are that could help that particular company, and then filter out the background noise a little bit so that you get a level playing field and the offering is well understood and the benefits and features that are different from each company might you might highlight those in a sensible way that makes it easy for people to understand. Is that what I'm picking up?
Absolutely. Yeah,
Perfect.
absolutely. And
okay.
In addition to that, Andrew, filtering the noise as well, because if we're involved in a project, there's a lot of salesmanship, shall we say, goes on within the industry, as it is within every industry. And it's a people business like every other business on the planet, really. It's about people, it's about transparency and honesty. And one of the big things that we bring in is that ability to not control the vendors and suppliers, but certainly to represent them within a niche shortlist into the... So we drown out all of that sales hype and noise with, everybody wanting to be your best mate every other week. We do a lot of that piece as well. So.
And actually, that kind of step in the middle is really helpful for the end user, right? Because they're not then having to interview each company. You do that on their behalf, and then you represent those groups of suppliers. And that could be for what sort of technology are we talking about here? I mean, presumably there's a wide reaching technology base here. So give us some examples of some of the stuff.
Yeah, pretty much any IT related aspects of
so that could be telecoms, it could be a new platform, it could be
fiber, service management, the whole yards really. Yeah.
And everything things like communication tools, perhaps office suites, all those things.
Absolutely, the whole piece, licensing, efficiency programs,
licensing. Yeah, good point. All of those things. Yeah. So you really act as the kind of expert, a bit like what Gartner do on a big level. You're sort of niching that down in terms of getting all the suppliers lined up so that it makes it an easier job for the customer to make a choice, right?
Yeah. I will add to that, Andrew. I see, without the heavyweight premiums that those big boys provide, and probably.
Indeed.
I may say there's probably more depth and width across the review piece as well. So,
brilliant.
The big boys trying to work with the sort of reputable brands and the leaders within the marketplace. There's so much choice now.
Okay.
If you look at unicorn organisations that come out, the app DevOps type organisations, the clever coders, there's so much to offer now in the market.
Okay. So an example of this could be, so if people are looking in their company for some AI tools, you might be able to help them with leveling that playing field, because that's something that's quite topical for a lot of people listening, perhaps.
Indeed, it is.
Right.
Yeah.
So there's a great example, folks. Let's just give you a break just for a minute. Sarah, what's going on in the feed so that we can catch up with the audience a little
Right.
bit?
So answers to the audience question. Excuse me, I'm just going to sneeze in a minute.
Achoo. Oh.
Oh, excuse me.
Bless you. There, that just shows we're live. There we
There
go.
we go. I think we all know we're live after this morning.
After this morning, yeah.
So Rebecca Jenkins, the biggest
Morning,
challenge
Rebecca.
is ensuring all expectations are understood. It takes deep insights to achieve this. Good point, re-listening and transparency. So key.
Yeah, and cutting through that background noise and getting honesty is something that, yeah, and the hype that you said, Ian. Any thoughts that you want to add to that, Ian?
I think, you, as in life itself, you have to decide whether you're one of the good guys or not, and excuse me, when we were talking before about balancing healthy profits with customer satisfaction, there certainly, as we all know, they're not mutually exclusive. In fact, they're codependent. You can't really, my belief is you can't really run a sustainable, successful business with growth without having both,
Yeah,
and,
you need
and the,
profit.
the sincerity behind
Yeah.
it as well. Very
But
important.
so you need profit, obviously, but you also need to be authentic and deliver what the customer wants. And it's not just a one-sided game, is it? It's balancing those two is just really important. And, having transparency around that is vital, is what I'm hearing you saying, Ian. Right. Okay. Sarah.
Lovely. Kathy Heath says,
Hello,
constant, biggest challenge is constant audience growth and engagement.
Yeah, very good, Kathy. And actually, Kathy runs a business, a tech business in the health sector, so a Healthy Minds Club. So actually, your services might be quite useful for Kathy as well to cut through some of the noise that she's having to deal with. So any thoughts on that, that little thought there from Kathy? Ian, anything you want to add?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Kathy. I think certainly with the sort of 20 months we've been in existence, you've got a blank piece of paper. There's a lot of huge organizations already reputable out there. How do you make a difference? How do you get into those conversations? How do you grow your engagements in across the different sectors, public and private? And the only real way that we find you can do that is by having a sincere, relatively unique approach. And again, I know this isn't a selling call at all, or that kind of thing, so I won't go into the details there, but you have to have something about the organization that's not necessarily different, but has a real focal point in terms of where you're going, what you represent, what you stand for as an organization.
What your values are and being clear about that. Okay.
To me, there's no point setting something up if you're just going to be another sort of me too in that sense. It's extremely difficult. And don't get me wrong, we're growing by reputation, which is fantastic now. It really is. We've got quite a few multinationals we're working with. Crumbs off the table, I have to say, but some humongous global household names. Lots of other organizations in different pockets and sectors as well. And the whole thing is growing for us through the sincerity and the openness that we deliver into the market.
Yeah, because you can deliver a portfolio of suggestions to your clients.
Absolutely.
And recommendations. Yeah. Okay. Sarah, thank you.
So Anita says,
hello,
I
Anita.
agree listening, but it's about being honest about what service we provide. Another thing is when I negotiate, I expect the answer could be no. That way, I'm taking away the pressure to get a yes. I'm looking for what they want, need. If I can provide it, great. If not, I'll say so, and we both end up feeling good because we're being honest. They are more likely to come back for a different service. I think that's the overall tone,
isn't it?
Honesty and integrity is something that is so vital, but isn't always found in business, maybe.
Isn't it? I know, absolutely. I think that's a great comment, Anita, as well. Thank you. I think you have to believe in yourself and your product or your service, clearly, don't you? And I think, that confidence that exudes from that is clearly part of the whole brand piece, if you like, for you. And I do like that comment about taking away the pressure by, I guess you're saying the same thing there, by, that belief again in what you're doing and the services you're providing. Yeah.
I think that's so key. And there's the generalization, isn't it? Look, regardless of the technology which you're handling, the generalization here, the learning from a leadership perspective here is that whatever you're doing, is, have the belief in yourself and the confidence in your product and your services, and, transparently, extol the benefits of those because you believe in them, right? And it's not then just smoke and mirrors. And yeah, we provide all of these things, but really we don't. But we'll tell you we do, but we might not do, which is
There's a
where
lot
all
of
the
that. There's
yeah,
a
a
lot
lot
of
of
that.
right, a lot of ego
Yeah.
and hype. Okay, Sarah, is anything else you want to say
Yeah,
here?
finally, Matthias, the biggest challenge is to listen to everyone's perspectives, make profit, and get the best of all worlds. At the same time, make sure it's in accordance to your organisation's values.
Yeah, spot on. Really like that. Thanks, Matthias. Well said, and yeah, it's well articulated. Just going back to Anita's point there, I think there's some really interesting learning here, Ian, for all of us, isn't there? I remember once working with an organisation, and I was just a supplier to another company that was then providing that service on to somebody else. So I was like, just the subcontractor in this instance. And I remember this guy saying to me that, look, we need to pander to what the client wants, regardless of whether it's right or wrong. And I'm kind of saying, well, look, I know I'm just your supplier, but actually I don't agree with what the client's suggesting here. I think the client needs educating because they're going down the wrong path here. And he was unwilling to then challenge the client. And I found that quite disturbing, actually, because, he was just saying, we've got to give them what they want. Even if it's what we know they don't need, we'll do it anyway because it's what they want. And it really disturbed me because it just didn't feel authentic. And I think most clients will value an expert saying, I know you want X, but you don't want X. Honestly, believe me, you don't want X. You need Y. And for these reasons. And, that's being honest and actually saying no at times to the client rather than just yes, 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 3 bags full. How high do you want me to jump? What say you, Ian?
Absolutely. And, you have to be bold. And again, it comes back
Mm,
to the belief you have anchored in your product, service, brand, to believe that you can make a difference there. And when you're against the pack, when everybody else is saying something else, particularly in product where it's commodity based type stuff, that sincerity again, hopefully on occasion, more often than not, wins through. And
yeah,
I
sincerity
think,
and but believing in, look, you're going in the wrong direction here, Mr. Client. Can I just bring you back to, look, if you go this way, you could end up being misstepped. And that's being sincere. Yeah. Is that what we're saying here?
absolutely, and as I
Mm.
say, it's bold, it's brave, isn't it? But you
Yeah,
have to
bold
anchor
and
that
brave. Spot
belief.
on. Yeah, spot on in. And
You,
that's part of the service, which I'm guessing TechGiant offer as part, he's just kind of going, look, okay, I know they're saying these things, but really, actually you want this, not that. That's just a shiny thing. That's not really the what you really want here. And it's being able to give that advice and give it cleanly, sincerely, authentically, and as an expert with knowledge.
mm. It's about value, isn't it? At the end of the day, value not
Yeah. Yeah,
service, but value in terms of the relationship. They're buying into you as an organization as well, and you've got to be on your game in terms of understanding what you're talking about first of all, and yeah, I think that sincerity does come through more often than not. And I guess the risk to, go against the pack and be the only one standing out is probably a great opportunity as well for you in terms of getting
absolutely.
more,
Yeah.
or genuinely. Yeah.
Good point. And I love that about adding value. And I know Rebecca Jenkins is on the show, and she's a big one for adding value to companies. And that's one of the steps here, that what we can do with our clients and as a leadership principle is not just to offer the service, but to offer value. That if our service doesn't quite match, then actually say it, because downstream it's just going to kick you in the teeth anyway. So, you might as well be transparent straight up front. Or the client might kind of value that and kind of go, well, actually, that is what we want. We're just not articulating it correctly. So, by adding that kind of value, that knowledge, that background to help our customers is what this is all about. And balancing that with the need for profit, and sometimes we need to say goodbye to a contract because it's not, in the long term, not going to work to us. But from the short term, it looks brilliant on our balance sheet, right?
That can be a temptation. It really can,
Yeah,
can't it?
it can't it? Yeah, for all of us. Yeah,
Yeah, indeed.
yeah.
Mm.
Good. Okay, let's bring Mrs. Moderator in. Is Is there anything else in the feed that's just popped in at all?
No, not at the moment. So I need a few more comments, people. Please do interact with it.
Okay.
I think the thing I'm picking up is
Mm,
it's whether you resonate with your clients. You know,
yeah.
do they feel that they resonate with you, that they can relate to you? And I think the other thing is it's not just for that particular one deal. It's if you want to keep your clients, it's you've got to, if that's who you are, then you will keep your clients because that you get what you see. But if you're hiding behind pretending to be something else, and then down the line the mask slips a bit because they're a client now and I don't need to be nice anymore, it's just not gonna, yeah, it's not right, is it? We've got to be authentic.
Especially if
That's
you're
where the
delivering.
complacency can come in. So sorry,
Yeah.
Andrew.
No, that's what exactly the complacency, but also the
Yeah.
transparency, isn't it? You know, if your product doesn't quite meet the customer's need, you might as well be transparent about it, or or really just listen about that, because it could be just a misunderstanding, right?
Oh, there's a great
Mm,
question just coming from Rebecca.
yeah,
What's been the biggest challenge you've faced, Ian, in putting together a big deal?
lovely question.
Oh, wow.
Re-
I think,
Rebecca comes out
um,
with some real smart stuff.
thank you, Rebecca. Put me on the spot this morning. I,
We like
look
to do that on this show.
look I think for me, there are all many different aspects of a large deal, that
Mm,
ties the nervousness in oneself. Certainly the attraction of maybe a big logo or a large deal that will take you onto that next sort of plane
yeah,
or
adding to the
plateau
balance
level.
sheet. Yeah.
And I think for me, one of the biggest challenges that we see as a relatively new business still is that we are. I hate the term disrupting the marketplace, right? Because everybody throws that one in, and are you really
That buzzword.
smart? But
Mm,
but maybe probably not breaking the industry is probably not a good term either. But you have to have, coming back to my earlier point, you have to have
mm,
something about your business, your service, your product, as we all know on the call, that's different. That there's additional value. We set up the business as a family business, but we set up the business because we believe that there was additional value we could add to the market. And one of the big challenges with large deals is, of course, the hierarchies and the land and expand and
good
covering
point.
off the decision makers and stakeholders. But the other big piece of that is, if you're, and back to your point before, Andrew, and the question I think from, was it Beth, if you're trying to take an organization in a different direction to what's being said to them in the marketplace already, the sort of tried and tested, keeping the lights on type approach, which we see a lot in the industry, rather than spending for
Mm,
innovation and getting ahead and competitiveness and sustainability, and resilience. A lot of organizations, fund their IT budgets just to keep the lights on, just waiting for that next major trend and then following it rather than leading the market in some aspects. And that's not a criticism. I understand the reservations in that space. But one of the big challenges we sometimes face is AI now, for example. It's a huge, overhyped, massively overhyped topic, but it has got a lot of value in there as well. And it's if we use that as an example, saying in a large opportunity, large deal, it's really about playing all of the strengths of the technologies themselves in a very, I guess, in a very customized way that's very meaningful to that organization. And sometimes you get the naysayers within an industry, largely because they're listening to a lot of vendor hype and supplier hype type stuff, which is there, and some of that isn't a bad thing.
massively in
Um,
AI, isn't it? Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
but it is. It's coming back to the point. He's trying to collectively address the stakeholders, the concerns and the hesitation, and also all of the other hype and miscommunication and noise. Some of it's obviously very good noise, but that's being fed into the here, largely from incumbents that don't have the roadmap or the R&D or the vision for that customer in the future. Maybe they're a
Okay.
voice provider, and as an example, Andrew, maybe they're a voice provider for telephony, but they're not really a Microsoft partner in that space, and but they're playing the Teams integration for Teams phone system piece quite strongly as the incumbent, and a lot of organisations get, I guess, intentionally and unintentionally misled on that piece as well, where a provider of services will have a reputation in one marketplace but wants to jump into a trend in another
Yeah.
marketplace, and because they have a good relationship internally with the client. It can be a challenge sometimes to really try and iron that piece out.
So I'm hearing there's two types of challenges here. One is with the customer and introducing new systems, new change in a large organization where you've got hierarchies, culture. You're probably taking a different direction, or the marketplace has made a big leap forward, like in artificial intelligence, and then trying to bring the customer along in that journey can be quite tricky, particularly with large organizations, because they're incumbent or slowed down by themselves, really, because they're so large. And then the other challenge I'm hearing you saying is how do you iron out and understand the hype that's going on from the supply or the vendors that you're dealing with, to try and work out, well, what is it they're actually trying to say? Because they're using a lot of hyperbole, is that the right word, to talk about their product or their service, and it's cutting through that. It's kind of, well, what is it really? Because and to be able to simplify that, to then talk to your customer and kind of go, look, they're saying all of these things, but really what that means is this. So it's in the interpretation. Have I got that right, Ian?
Absolutely,
Yeah.
I
So
think
those are the two.
always quite nicely,
So those are the two major challenges, and that affects us all, right? Is being able to cut through that noise effectively. And you mentioned earlier, I'm just moving on now, and we'll come back to Sarah in a moment, but please continue giving your questions into the feed, and we'll get Ian to answer them, or your observations and things that you want answering. So please join in the feed. We're going to move on to complacency and combating complacency, if that's the right word. And as businesses grow, and particularly in large organizations, we've talked about large organizations, complacency often is part of that, or creeps in, and that leads to stagnation. I think you mentioned that earlier. What are some of the signs that you can see complacency in larger organizations that we need to be wary of, and how do you tackle that as the kind of middleman between the suppliers and the big company that needs to make changes? How do you influence that as part of their being a leader in that? How do you go around that, Ian? What advice have you got?
The whole, and this is what kind of shines a light on the incredible importance of your ecosystems, right, with your providers
Yeah.
and your customers. And culture is a massive part of
Yeah.
business society, the
Isn't
business
it?
world.
Mm.
It is. For a lot of organizations, I sound quite negative this morning, I don't mean to, but for a lot of organizations, you probably experience yourself with some of the household brands, there's a lot of tick boxes, there's a lot of disingenuous behavior, insincerity, and it begins really, I guess, with you at home, not at home, but within the core of
Within
your
you, yeah, the core of who
what you
you are
stand
and what,
for,
yeah,
what you stand for, what you represent. And we work with some suppliers that we, that we would every day of the week, be on side with, on board with, because of not just the services and solutions, but the cultural piece, the genuine character, if you like, of the organisation, the personality. It kind of fits really well with ourselves. And as we all know, it's easy to smile and everyone's great and this kind of thing. But it's when you get problems with an organisation, or when you get problems with a consumer or a customer or a B2B, client, that you really show your true colours. Don't you? In terms of listening, responsiveness, owning problems, all that
yeah.
kind of good stuff as well. And that's the real, for me, is the real acid test in terms of who you are. And a lot
Yeah.
of that is reliability on your ecosystem of supply chain and partners. It's very, very important.
I love the way you said that, who you are, and bringing that to the table as well, and recognizing. And you said, look, you thought you were sounding a bit negative to some of these bigger companies. I don't think you are. I think you're actually just being very realistic, Ian. But you're also showing us a pathway, and the light you're shining, I think, if I've got this right, is that, look, part of this, when you're introducing IT into a company, something new like artificial intelligence or a new system, or a new way of doing stuff, then inevitably that company that are wanting that service, part of their change mechanism is that their culture needs to adapt as well, because technology now is so, it's not simple stuff anymore. It involves a huge amount of corporate change to go on. Attitudes need to change. The speed of decision making is often affected because IT systems make things more effective, more efficient, which inevitably has an impact on the people, the culture, the way teams are led, the way decisions are made, and often can speed up those things and cut through hierarchies, which the company may not be ready to address, Ian. And it sounds like what you're saying, if I've got this correct, is you're recognizing that and having to tread that delicate balance with that company in terms of, look, yes, we're introducing this, but equally this will have an impact on you and your people.
Absolutely. Again, Andrew, people, process, technology, it's key. The mix of those ingredients is essential to any project. And far too many organizations tend to just throw technology at things. A couple of projects working on right now where we're trying to look at the change management process around the people and the human resources.
There you
just
go.
boom, there's a platform. Let's hope it works, kind of thing. It's
It's not just the technology platform, is it? What you're saying is, yes, there's a technology platform here, but that will inevitably lead to a culture shift of some description because it's going to change your organization. It's going to make it faster and slicker, which then means you need to think about your processes, your people processes, how that all fits together. And that whole change management piece, which actually is one of the great things about employing somebody like, TECHGIANT to do that, Ian, to act as that bridge piece, not just with you and the suppliers, them and the suppliers, but also guiding them in terms of what they need to change internally. And even if it means that, look, you need to think about the change piece here as well. That might not be your skill set, but actually it will change you. And that's bringing who you are and adding that value as well, Ian. I'm wondering.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Fully agree. Absolutely. Yeah, it is indeed.
Let me just bring back Mrs. Moderator for a moment. Anything else going in the feed that you want to mention?
Yeah, just Anita says she agrees 100%. Short-term hype creates a lot of fuzz around the organisation. Long-term building up slowly, steadily, and with integrity will be better for your business to stay in the game in the long term.
Well, where's that?
The latest. Oh no, that was Matthias's comment. I beg your pardon.
Ah, righty-ho.
He was agreeing with Anita. Sorry, I'm clearly
no
not. Can't get the staff, can
you? Brilliant.
One comment just that came to mind when you were talking, Ian, about when you do put technology into companies, and I'm thinking of places where I've worked, and sometimes companies would benefit from somebody coming in to work on a change management point of view to kind of dovetail with the tech going in, because a lot of people, particularly if they've been in a company quite a long time, can be very resistant to change because it frightens them.
Indeed.
Particularly, dare I say it, older people with new tech coming in, and it feels like there's a lot to learn. So just reminding people that actually, change management, having somebody come like Andrew coming in to do some change management stuff within an organization when you're implementing stuff is really, really beneficial.
You have to get that piece absolutely right, don't you? It's the foundations of change, if you like. Assisted by technology, but it's about people.
I think technology is changing so rapidly still that it can be a bit scary, can't it? The boss says, right, we're doing this, and you think, oh, help, what am I going to do? Can I do it? Is it going to work? Is it going to break? If it breaks, who do I speak to? And I suppose that's the benefit of having a middleman, isn't it? Because you've got that somebody holding your hand whilst it's all being implemented as well, I guess. Is that something you do as well, Ian?
Absolutely, Sarah. Yeah. The whole mix is so important. You can't.
I think those partnerships, Ian. Sorry, just breaking in there. That the partnerships, that's a challenge, isn't it? Is bringing, you're bringing in the technology change, but equally is the change management piece, and it's working with those people that can help the company that you're working with. And I wonder whether there's an opportunity there as well to say to the company, look, there's some change management stuff here. And, I recommend, such and such person, somebody like myself, to come in and help in that process, to kind of go, look, I know this guy, he works really well with the people process. You need to do both here. And that's a great selling point, because that person can then go back to the board and kind of go, right, okay. One thing that Ian Taylor has suggested, is that, look, this isn't just technology we're looking at here. We need to also think about the change management piece. And he's recommending that we bring in somebody, and here's Mr. X or Ms. X or Mrs. X who might be able to help you, have a conversation with them. Is that something that is useful, Ian, just thinking about, those challenges?
1,000%. But going on, it is that mixture of those essential layers of the foundation to make things work. And it was interesting with COVID, wasn't it?
Wasn't it?
During COVID and post-COVID, and we put out some national surveys a couple of times now in the 20 months we've been running, about how things might have changed culturally pre and post-COVID, how not just the IT investment strategies and sponsorship from the chief exec down, and erosion of things like shadow IT, which is areas where organizations will buy software and solutions independently of the entire group, and we had some well, not really surprising results. I guess, we saw more of a structured chief exec vision downwards through the C-suite, and that kind of control across organizations, because of course a lot of businesses were caught on the hop massively during COVID, that particularly around CX and contact center and customer services, as we all know, they didn't have the technologies to deliver those solutions, but more importantly, they didn't have the engagement and the togetherness to work remotely, if that makes sense. The systems, the trust, even, particularly the British, I would say, for the last 20 years, since OCSR 7 and things in the late noughties, we've had the ability to drive some of this collaboration across remote working, but the British culture in particular was never really took hold of that until COVID forced that trust issue on organizations. Now the return to office 3 days a week, for me personally, I respect and totally appreciate that there's a lot of real estate costs that have to be justified to shareholders, but it's about people. It's about the culture within an organization, and allowing those change management processes to be in place to provide that sustainable platform for people to have a better work-life balance. But the benefits of working remotely, not necessarily from home, but remotely as well. It's an interesting topic.
It's fascinating what you're talking about. And technology is at a point now where it's really influencing human change, isn't it? It's not just a tick box exercise to get a system in anymore. These are complex processes we're changing here. And, how much of the systems that you're working with at the moment are you seeing that, this is changing collaboration, that's impacting on trust, on engagement, on the balance between employees working from home and working in the office, and all of those things that are all mixed in now to a technological solution? The ecosystem's really complex. Is that something you're finding, Ian?
Oh boy, it is. It really, really is incredibly complex. But again, coming back to the early point that Sarah made, it's a huge part of the platforms and solutions and services.
Absolutely. There's the solution and there's the opportunity, but there's also the solution. If you can talk that language, Ian, isn't it? I'm wondering, and bridge those challenges.
Yeah. It's the lead the horse to water, can you make it drink type stuff.
Yeah.
It's a marvelous time we're living in terms of technology, and
isn't it?
I don't want to quote the old phrase, the possibilities are limitless, but they feel like they truly are. Some of the things that we're working on with real niche type advanced technologies in certain areas are just mind-blowing for us in terms of the demand from certain areas of the marketplace to get ahead, to remain, not just remain, but to drive that competitive edge, to solve employee churn and attrition, all those kind of wonderful things, but also to serve customers better. There are some tremendous projects we're working with at the moment that are mind-blowing. We couldn't have even imagined just a couple of years ago, that all go towards serving customers better and yes, retaining customers and accounts, and land and expand and upselling those, but customer service. There's some wonderful things happening at the moment. There really are.
And it's that very tight relationship now, isn't it, between the company that are selling products to the customers that they're attracting, and that whole transparency piece and all of those things. So technology is driving that. No longer have you got a supplier and a customer. They're becoming very much a kind of partnership now and a collaboration, and that's what
Yeah.
technology is doing. So it's not just about chucking in a system. It's about developing an entire cultural ecosystem and all of the changes which go with the rapid changes that go with that, and how that affects the company and the change curve, and also maintaining profitability as well as customer satisfaction. These are hard things to do. And talking about, let's talk a little bit about customer frustration for a moment. We're kind of coming to the end of the show, believe it or not. We're whizzing towards the end. But, from your experience, what are some of the effective processes that, that you can deal with to address complaints and customer frustrations and turn those situations around to opportunities, Ian, through the work that you've done?
Excuse me. I think first and foremost is ownership.
Yeah.
Ownership of a problem at a level senior enough to be able to make a difference and change things for a customer. Clearly understanding that issue and the impact of that issue on that customer as a business, but also as that individual that probably has the head on a block if it's a significant issue.
Yeah.
Open communications, two-way communications, two-way comms is essential. And responsiveness is key there. But doing what you say you'll do as an organisation that is trying to resolve an issue with a customer is paramount, as we all know on the call. It's a vital aspect, that genuine sincerity to first of all to understand, as I said, the issue and the impact of the issue and the impact on the individual on the site or within the organisation, and that sincere approach to getting things sorted out is crucial.
I love the way you said that, Ian. And don't do the cover up. Actually, this is about two-way communication. If you've got something wrong, put your hand up, because actually, when you do that, you can change an organization. I'm just picking up from you that if something has gone wrong, say, from the supplier angle, the supplier could cover it up and kind of go, oh, let's just pretend it's not there, or likewise the other way around. But actually, if you're open about it and kind of go, actually, we've misstepped here. We didn't see this one coming. And actually, we've recognized now that we need to make a change internally to stop that happening again. And actually, it's going to bring us closer to our customers. Then actually, the relationship between the two parties at that point can be even closer, because people are putting their hands up and kind of going, actually, we've recognized we've misstepped and we need to do something about this. And can we have your help to help us to solve this? Because we've bumped into something we didn't experience before, probably because it's down to the people again and an ecosystem problem. So rather than covering it up, actually you can get closer relationships with your customer because you've messed up, right? If only you're sincere.
Yeah, no, absolutely, Andrew. And as we all know, the marking of somebody really is when things are going wrong, isn't it? Personally
Totally.
handling it shows your true colours and your true intent, and your business character and your personal character. Yeah.
I like that. Mark of a person's character is how you handle a mistake. I love that. And that's a great learning for us all, folks. And it's fascinating, the world that you're in, Ian, although it's highly technical, actually, we can't get an understanding of it. That this is quite an interesting, unique bridge piece that you're playing here. That, it's really understanding quite a big dimension, not just the technology, but the impact of that technology and how that's going to affect the company, and the whole transparency piece, and being able to hold your customer's hand through that change journey is hugely beneficial. And that's, one of the reasons why to employ somebody who's a middleman between the end customer and the suppliers, not just for the tender, but also, the introducing the technology once you've made up your mind on which supplier you're going to use, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And again, coming back to the main theme of the session, it's about people, isn't it?
It's always about people. Yeah. So let's just
Technology,
shout you out for a moment, Ian. So we've got I don't know where to start really. Where do you want to start? Do you want to, let's look at your website for a start off. This is Tech Giant Corporate IT Solutions. It's not displaying properly at the moment, but your website is, just give us a quick nod on your website, Ian.
What, the URL?
Yeah, URL.
It's techgiantworkplace.com. Techgiantworkplace.com.
Workplace.com.
Mm.
Now, you've got a couple of offers here as well, haven't you? Can you talk us through that? And then I can bring up the appropriate slide for you.
Yeah, thank you. So we've got a couple of. So we talked earlier on in the session about an identity for an organisation, about something you're doing to create additional value to the marketplace, and a couple of things that we're doing. That's our centricity curve, which is basically reviewing entire global markets and giving you a top 10 or a top 5 based on about 48 different metrics. And we'll give you that report, evidence back with all the evidence in for free, absolutely for free. You can read it and throw it in the bin, or you can read it and take all advice.
So if you're looking for a tech change, just taking a step back in so we can understand this, if you're looking to implement some software somewhere or a system, then actually fact, your organization can help you to kind of just put that piece together and work out who the players are and do the analysis piece for that customer. Is that correct?
Absolutely. So we work quite tightly with all the procurement departments as well as IT operations and things.
Lovely.
And it's there, telco, telecoms, collaboration, connectivity, cyber, anything you can think of.
Yeah. So if it's security, if it's cybersecurity, if it's artificial intelligence, if it's a new system, if it's telecoms, whatever it is, your company can help sort of make sense of the very busy workplace or the busy IT technology stuff and make it more transparent for the customer to make the right choice, because it's a minefield otherwise, Ian.
It is, and the marketplace is growing, if anything.
Yeah.
A lot of M&A involved in that around R&D and future roadmap, but it's growing, if anything. There's some superb organisations that are barely 12 months old, 2 years old.
Yeah, and that's the other thing, that the organisations are popping up all over the place, aren't they? Tell us about this one here, this guaranteed public sector ICT grants.
So this is without overhyping, this is a real industry first. We launched this at DTX in Manchester in late May.
Wow.
It's giving back to organisations. It's giving back a share of the vendor and supplier profits through ourselves under contract to public sector. And we've got a webinar on 2:00 today, actually, a webinar. It's on LinkedIn.
2:00 today. Yeah.
You can ping me by all means, and I'll send you the link to it. It's a 30-minute session to talk about how you can attain guaranteed public sector grants through TechGiant for any future IT spend that you have over 2024, 2025. That includes contract refresh as well. So keeping the lights on spend and spend for innovation, guaranteed public sector grants.
Brilliant.
From us to you.
That is really important, because that's going to save you money, folks. So if you want to find out more about that, Ian will pop the link in on the comments feed at the end, so that you've got access to that. And that's at today. What time is that again? That is at
2:00 today. Yeah,
2:00 today. There you go.
The cap on that is up to £250,000 in a grant on a single project. Obviously, has to be a large, complex project for £250,000 back to you. Yeah. However, the grants go from 3,000-4,000 right the way up. So anything at all.
Okay, so small to big, that's the largest. But equally, if you're working with big clients, I know there's people online here like Rebecca, etc., that work with big clients, and Matthias works with public sector organisations as well. Those might be useful links for you both. So that's a little bit of a shout out. Anything else you want to shout out, Ian?
Just very quickly, we've got a private market. So this is public sector. We've got the private market equivalent, which is our big corporate cash giveaway.
Oh, yes, where's that?
One of the cards here as well.
I want to find that. Is that the one there? There it is. No, is that it? Oh, that one. Right. Tell us about that.
That gives you a welcome balance of £20,000, and it's real cash. It's not credit note. It's cash back to organisations. That's the private market equivalent of what we're doing in public sector. Again, written into contracts with ourselves, and suppliers, and the vendors, and that's cash back to your business. It's your cash. It's not credit notes or anything like that to spend against something else. It's cash back to you. We're rebalancing the profits of the vendor industry, the IT industry, vendors and suppliers. That is a webinar we're doing at 11 o'clock tomorrow that you can find on LinkedIn.
Brilliant.
If you pop onto our company page on LinkedIn, you'll see both events advertised.
Okay. And please add that to the link on this feed once you've finished as well. So you've got both of those webinars, today's and tomorrow's. So that'll be useful. Thank you. Thanks, Ian. Brilliant. Quick one on what we're doing. Sarah, our CTA.
Yeah, just to remind you, if you enjoyed the show, who else can you recommend us to listen? Let's try and grow our audience. If you're out there thinking, I absolutely love this show and I would love to contribute in some way towards the costs, please get in touch. We're always happy to hear people with that. And just a reminder, whilst we do this for free, there's a huge amount of knowledge that Andrew has. All the stuff we do is backed up by his corporate background. If you've got issues, get in touch. We do like to talk to people.
Yeah, and if you're looking for someone to help you do the change management piece for your people because you're introducing a complex project through one of Ian's links, say, for example, please get in touch with me as well. And I'd be very happy to help your organization make those cultural changes because they're, as we've said today, really important stuff. So that's where we've headed today, and it's been lovely to have Ian Taylor on the show today. And what an extraordinary conversation we've had with Ian, who adding value from this really complex area of change and IT provision. And actually, I think we've really dug into that, Ian, and made some sense of it, haven't we, today, and really understood it and kind of teasing that out, because this is a massively important area, particularly with things like security and cyber fraud attacks and things like that, and protecting your organization, but also the whole thing about artificial intelligence and where that's going, and the way big systems are becoming much more part of our everyday existence now in business, that we have to embrace this kind of technology. And it's been brilliant to listen to Ian, who's actually helped us to simplify, a really complex area. So you go to Ian and he'll sort it out for you. Thank you, Susie Taylor. Buy me a coffee. That's lovely. Is that? Oh, brilliant.
Well, our ops director sponsoring these, so yeah, that's great.
Fantastic. Well, I'm loving that. So thank you, Ian's wife. Brilliant. Fantastic. Brilliant. Okay.
And our operations director too, Andrew.
Say again?
Don't forget, she's the ops director here as well.
Of course, absolutely. She's the big decision maker. I know. I have to do that with Sarah. Everything goes through Sarah. Brilliant. Brilliant.
Thank you very much, Andrew, Sarah. Really appreciate it.
You're very welcome. So that's pretty well it for today, folks. And just to say, the goose for next week. So interesting for next week. So we're making a bit of look. It's summertime, folks, and it's that time of year where the summer holidays are coming, the kids are off. We're going to take that long summer break, and as per our tradition on Leaders Live, we're going to do likewise again this year, especially because we're jam-packed, because we've just moved house to North Devon, and we've just got a stream of family and guests coming all summer long. So down to our new house in North Devon. So that's what we're going to be doing, is taking that sort of 6-week period off. So we'll see you again in September, and for another round of Leaders Live from September onwards. So that's the goose for next week. The goose for next week is there's no show for 6 weeks. So as we enjoy the summer period, and I hope the same for you guys as well. And thanks again for Ian for a really enlightening conversation with him on the seriousness of the complexity of IT and making some sense of it. Hope you enjoyed the show, folks, and it's been great to hang out with all you guys again today online. Thanks for being part of our show. We love doing this show, and the podcast will be out shortly too. We might have to cut the beginning of the podcast because we had some technical issues this morning. So in the meantime, that's a wrap, folks. And so from Ian, me, Mrs. Moderator, we're going to say bye to you for now. And we're just going to close out on our intro and wave goodbye to you. So that's all for now, folks. See you again in 6 weeks' time. In the meantime, God bless you, and may God's love shine on you during the summer period, if the rain ever stops. Ta-ra a bit, and cheers for now. Bye-bye. Thanks again, Ian. Boom, boom. Bye for now. Cheers, everybody. Bye-bye. And I will just...